Welcome everybody to our Maximize Your Membership call. This is our last one. This is a new call we implemented over the summer. So once a quarter, we're going to do a call where we talk about what's going on in our businesses. We connect, we network, and we talk about our membership and all the things that are involved in that and how to get the most out of your membership to make sure you're making the connections, you're taking advantage of the training, and you're getting the results that you want. Don't forget about that almighty ROI that we're also looking for. We are so honored today to have Maggie Carey here as our guest from the New York region. So we're very excited. We'll give you a chance to introduce yourself in a moment. So if you want to go ahead, is it allowing you to share? Why don't we go ahead and go to the next slide? And I just want to remind you, we do have an advisory board. And actually, this is something that New York started first. Tina Campbell, the regional partner, was sharing with me what she was doing. I'm like, oh, I want to do that. So I think it was probably late winter. We started this in Minnesota and Dakotas. So we have a joint advisory board across both regions. And this call is brought to you by Paula and Ann. They are on our culture and retention team. So they help put this together and make it a great opportunity for all of us to be together and to connect. So thank you to Paula and Ann. Tell me something. I think we need to maybe click again. I usually don't use that feature, but I must have this time. So at this point, we'll do almost like we do in our chapter meetings. We'll do basically a sound bite. And this time they'll make sure you share not only your business, but your chapter you're in. And if you hold a position in the chapter, let us know. And if you have some good news to share, whether it's personal and professional, we would love to hear that as well. So Lori, would you like to kick us off today?
Sure. Well, Lori Fila with American Family Insurance. I am with the Maple Grove chapter. Go Mavericks! And we're so fortunate to have Paula on our team. She is a party animal, just saying. And I also help with the retention committee.
Great. Thank you, Lori. Do you have any good news to share? Personal, professional, just life?
Well, I'm really liking being back with American Family and getting in the groove. And I have to say, I'm very blessed that I still have quite a following. So,
good.
Yeah, it's great.
That's good. Good. Thanks for sharing that. Paula, why don't you go next?
Alrighty, I'm Paula Helgerson. I am with the mighty Maple Grove Maverick chapter that meets on Thursdays. Yeah, anyhow, I am getting anxious and ready to do my showcase in live person tomorrow. So that will be a lot of fun. And other good news, my husband and I made the decision to go visit our son and daughter-in-law in Montana coming up in November. So we're going to take 5 days and just get out of town.
Oh, that's awesome, Paula. Good for you. Have a great trip. It's great. Ann, would you like to go next?
Sure. I am Ann McClyman from the Rosemont chapter. I had a brain fart. So I do printing, all that good stuff. Something good is my hand is not broken and I don't have to get the round of rabies shots. I was attacked. Well, I wasn't attacked. My dog was attacked by another dog and I jumped in and got bit. So that was a whole big story. So it was good. That's good news.
Well, good. I hope it heals well and your dogs are both okay. And it's just a scary moment. Our two dogs have had dog fights and it scares me. I mean, they get wild. So glad to hear that, Ann. And Miss Tammy, how about you?
Good afternoon, everyone. Tammy Greatslade. I'm a realtor with Property Brokers of Minnesota in Rochester. I'm the chapter president of the Thursday Noon Rockstars, and we are officially at 15 members. So that is a huge deal. So we are growing and we're getting consistent visitors, which is really, really nice. And then real estate has been absolutely fantastic. I think I just had like my 24th or 25th sale because of Master Networks. And my return on investment, including everything, even affiliate rewards, is over $130,000 since I started 8 years ago. So yeah, track your numbers.
Exactly. That is amazing, Tammy. That's incredible. And I love, she shared a story at the workshop that a member who, he was a member just for a short time, like 8 years ago, sent her a referral this summer. You'd never know, even though sometimes we lose track of people a little bit, we stick with them and those connections can still be strong. So love that, Tammy. Thank you. And yes, so excited, relaunching the chapter. They merged with another chapter, which is no easy feat for anybody who's done that so successfully, and everybody is thriving and just, it's just a whole new feeling, right, Tammy? It's great. All your hard work is appreciated. And Maggie, why don't you go next?
So I'm Maggie Carey. I'm a social media strategist. I own Master at Media. It's a social media firm. I educate businesses on developing an engaging social media presence because that seems to be a big pain point for a lot of people. And I can totally get it and understand because I was one of those people who was frustrated with technology. So with Master Networks, I'm in the Brewster chapter in New York, which is about 60 miles north of New York City on the Connecticut-New York border. And I'm also an area director of 4 chapters now. And I also am on the regional advisory board. And I'm given the title of Goddess of Technology. That is what I termed myself. They said at one of the meetings we could name ourselves, and I thought that was a cool one for me.
Maggie, I love it. Maggie's so much fun. Oh my gosh. It's great. Well, you all know who I am. I'm in every chapter, in any chapter I can get to every week, all of the time. Good news, I have some travel plans too. Don and I are getting away this weekend for our anniversary. It was on Monday. So we're going to, it's right along the river in Wisconsin, these cottages that they built like on the cliff. And so when you're in your second story, it feels like you're like in a tree house. So I'm really excited just to kind of get away, enjoy some nature. And they also own a winery. So we get wine while we're there and can just kick back and relax and pretend the world doesn't exist for 2 or 3 days. So I'm excited. That's good. And the other good news, it hasn't snowed yet in Minnesota, right, ladies? It has not snowed. All right, Maggie, why don't we go to the next slide? And then after I introduce this slide, I'm going to give it over to Maggie to hear from her. So how do you maximize your membership? There's so many benefits, features, and things that you can take advantage of. And we wanted to share this equation. I think we came up with it several years ago because I was still in Texas when we were talking about this, that there is a true formula. There's an actual equation. So showing up and being present and active and contributing at your chapter meetings, plus the face-to-faces, getting to know your fellow members, whether it's your chapter, other chapters across the nation, making those connections, building that relationship, that's what equals the referrals and ROI. And some of you may or may have not heard this story. When I first started with Master Networks as a member, I was working full-time and had a side business that I was doing. And when I first got introduced, I thought, this is amazing. I'm going to come to a chapter meeting for an hour a week. I'm going to get flooded with referrals, grow this side business. This will be amazing. Wah, wah. It doesn't quite work that way, does it? And then when I finally started making the effort to have some face-to-face meetings, imagine what happened. Oh my gosh, referrals started coming. I was able to give referrals better as well. And so really, it truly is the magic of building those relationships are those face-to-faces. And so I've asked Maggie to share. They're having amazing success in New York, just in general. And Maggie in particular has done some great things with her membership. So it's always fun to hear from other people, what they're doing and how they're taking advantage of their membership. So Maggie, I'm going to take it away and let you share.
Thank you. So I thought I'd start by just sharing a little bit about who I am. On the left, you see my crazy family. I have 3 adult kids who are the absolute light of my life. That little guy you see there is now 21. He's a senior in college, and he is 6'4" and has hair longer than mine. Like total computer geek, right? Love him. My eldest Antonia is in the green, and she is working for the court clerk in our town. And my daughter Jackie just finally graduated because she was a 2020 graduate, and they just had a ceremony for her college. So we were very excited this weekend to actually celebrate her commencement in live and in person. Of course, I've got my little 4 fur babies that are here. My parents here are, long since gone, but always live in my heart. I'm one of seven, the youngest of seven kids. And my grandmother over here in the top, she was a working woman from the age of 6 years old. So she's one of the reasons why those child labor laws are in place. And she was an amazing, amazing person with a ton of building a ton of great ethics for me. And of course, there's my other family, my Master Networks family. Whether we're in person or virtual, these people are instrumental in having helped me build my business, as well as develop some really amazing personal development that I've gone through, and as well as made some lifelong friendships. Like, it seems like we've known each other for decades and we've known each other for 3 years. It's just crazy. And I think that's one of the big values of Master Networks. Like, we talk about ROI, the ROI investment in my time has been to develop these friendships and healers that I've met, as well as, professional business. I mean, I at my fingertips, I have amazing people who can help anybody I know. So that's a little bit about me. Of course, CEO of Master It Media. One of the things I love to do is present. So thank you again, Sarah, for giving me the opportunity to be here. So I wanted to share a little bit about my journey. So with I started Master Networks over 3 years ago with a totally different business, and I was selling advertising in a digital publication that it was sort of like a franchise. And somebody said, "Hey, I need help with a website. I don't know who to go to." I'm like, "Oh, I can do that." And Tina's like, "What?" So Tina found out and she's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And I was like, "I don't know." So she helped me fine tune into, taking my 35 plus years in IT and developing a new business, Master It Media, and I've been thriving as I've grown. What I did was I not only attended regular meetings, but I also attended other meetings in my area. Now, for us now, this isn't insane. I can go to 3, 4, 5 meetings a day if I wanted to, because in New York, we're in Connecticut, we're all virtual. So that's an opportunity for any of you as well to take advantage of that. Even if you could just say, hey, even if your seat's taken, you could just say, "Hey, I'm visiting from Minnesota, and I'd love for you to come down and visit our chapter." And come on down, because we love people to come and visit our chapters. I also attended lots of mixers and every single training event that I could get my hands on. And that included going to Connect, right? Like, anything I could, I was taking advantage of everything, as well as the amazing resources that are inside of the hub. I devoured this. I went in, I learned different things, I asked questions, and I listened. I scheduled face to faces. Right now, I'm about 30 a month. So I wasn't recording it. And I recently hired an admin, and I gave her this task because I wanted to see what I was doing. And some of those are regularly scheduled meetings. I have what I call my Fab Five of people who I meet with on a weekly basis, who are instrumental in helping me grow, whether it's my Master Networks chapters, or whether it's my business, or whether it's just my personal well-being and health. So these face-to-faces are really critical. And look, they get me, right? Like, we're crazy people because we run our own businesses. We have this kind of insane passion that the normal people in our lives don't always get. So I find those face-to-faces, and look, those face-to-faces led to business. Like, I had 3 face-to-faces last week that are leading to prospects. It happens. I also took advantage of the 5+1 Mastery program. That not only has helped me fine-tune my business, but it has also given me opportunity to share what I do, which is giving me opportunities for people to contact me, because I can do what I do anywhere. So that's given me opportunities for more proposals and referrals. of course, this is the biggest thing. I listened, I learned, and I leveraged. That's going to be my mantra for the next year, right? Listen, learn, leverage, right? And I don't mean leverage in that negative sense. It's like taking what I'm hearing, learning from people who have been where I've been, and leveraging those connections. I want people to leverage me as well. Like I see that we sometimes are look at these things like money and leverage as negative things, but guys, this is what we're here for. Yes, we want to build those relationships after this, that we have to be profitable. Otherwise our families starve and we're miserable, and life does not end up being happy. So we're going to do all of these things that lead our lives into where we want to go. And of course, here's the biggest thing, right? It's not just the investment. Look, for $49.95, I promote my business like crazy a month. And frankly, I don't even pay that because I get my affiliate rewards back. It's not about the money with Master Networks. To me, it's about the time. I invest a lot of my time in Master Networks, but it's an investment in my business. I cannot imagine having this business be as successful as it is without Master Networks. And I will say, joining Master Networks was the first best business decision I made, because after that business decision, it led me to a series of really great business decisions that have grown my business and it's still growing, but I thought in 5 years I was going to have 5 people working for me. Well, in less than, because of 2020 and the insane amount of change that happened, I actually hired 2 people full time now to work for my company. So we are growing. I'm in that kind of like, you got to invest and then grow and then invest and grow. And it's getting there. I'm very happy to say. So here's my Master Networks referrals and ROI. The first thing I did that made me successful was I stopped selling. I stopped selling. Tina will say, ditch the pitch, right? I sold, but I wasn't acting like I was selling. It was more like, hey, here's a tip about, I'll tell you one of my tips this week was, did you know that you can turn your LinkedIn profile picture into a video? You can. Just go check out my video on YouTube about how you can do that. Right now, what am I doing? I'm helping somebody. I'm not selling, but I am driving traffic to my YouTube channel. Like Sarah's like writing this down. I could see her, right? Like, you want to show you're an expert in your field. And that's kind of one of the things. So I stopped pushing sales. I started giving out referrals, hoping that people would want to reciprocate. But it also gave me great credibility with the people I was referring to people. So they were like, oh, if I need somebody, I know I can contact Maggie because she has 30 face-to-faces a month. She knows everybody in the region. And if I don't, I always say, Tina, who does this? And then I refer them, right? This is a way of, and also I've gone into our mastery group and I've asked, hey, this is where you communicate with everybody. Paul is very active in workplace as well, where you can get these kind of people involved. If you don't know somebody, find somebody. I became a resource and a trusted advisor. People knew they could reach out to me. And what does this all have to do with my referrals and ROI? I'll tell you, it fine-tuned my brand and my message, right? I worked with a branding coach in our region who helped me zone in on just social media instead of the gazillion other tech things I know. And now I've become the person people think about in my region. Whenever they say social media, they think of me. Now, there's other people who do social media, but they do other stuff as well. But they don't just do social. So I built that reputation, the brand, and my message with this. And, adding a good referral source to my soundbite, saying, I'm looking for businesses like auto repair shops or, and when I had said that, somebody said, oh, you've got to meet with Natalie Paris from the Alaska chapter, because she works with auto body repair shops in her business, even though she's not an auto body repair shop, right? And that opened up a whole nother line of connections for me. So here are my results, right? I designed a new product based on feedback I got from members. Remember, I listened, right? I listened and I learned from people. I built my YouTube channel followers over 100 subscribers in 6 weeks because I posted on Master Networks and said, hey, would you guys, I'm trying to build my channel to 100. The reason you want to get to 100 is it does help your leverage, but it also gives you the ability to name your channel. So it's youtube.com/masteritmedia. And I was insane. I needed that because I had Master It Media on Instagram, on Facebook, everything was at Master It Media. And I had to get, and I was driven. And my Master Networks friends went and subscribed. I almost doubled that, but it's been because of that initial kick that kind of boosted me up. I receive referrals weekly from members across the country. And I don't mean just, hey, meet with Maggie. I mean, like, Maggie, can you talk to me about your social media services? Like definite leads, warm, hot leads. And then as I mentioned, in 2021, I hired 2 full-time employees because business got so busy, I couldn't deal with it myself. And in 2020, in the middle of a pandemic, 75% of my business came from Master Networks members or a referral. This number has changed because I ended up onboarding 3 new people, not from Master Networks, but that kind of boosted up. So it's down to about maybe 60% now, but I've got 4 Master Networks members in the hopper right now. So this number may pop up to 75% again. I just don't know. But the thing is, I'm blessed with a tremendous amount of people who have trusted me. Now, it didn't happen overnight. When I first joined Master Networks, I was a red hot mess. My sound bites were long. They were terrible. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to, I was selling. I wasn't listening. And that switch, and 2020 was a crazy year for many of us, but that switch really drove home to me how important it was to build those solid relationships, because there were a lot of my friends that were in Master Networks who were not working, who could not work. But they still attended meetings and they still did their face-to-faces. And look, it took me stopping and looking at my business and deciding what did I really love to do and what did I want to do. And it did, it did change. Now we're talking about this kind of growth in, I would say, but 2020 was a year I would say Master It Media really took off, because before that, I was just like all over the place. I wasn't sure where to go. I wasn't sure what to do. I was doing websites. I was doing social. I was doing tech help, anything anybody wanted, I could do it, when I zoned in on the social. So this growth has been like a year and a half of insane growth. It's amazing. Like the product that I'm developed called Teleprompter could have national growth. So I'm building it, listening to people in my chapter, listening to people who are my subscribers, and changing and adapting it to fit the need. So, and just to tell you, I don't think I could say my success is just because of my Master Networks membership. I really do think the success had to do with me becoming a leader in Master Networks. And that meant 3 weeks after I joined, Coach Chloe was my chapter president at the time. She asked me to become a secretary. 3 weeks in, I didn't know what the heck. I was like, well, what? I guess, sure, why not, right? Like, you don't say no to Coach Chloe. So that was like that. And it was the start of accepting many different leadership roles, including chapter president, and then area director. As I mentioned, have since gained 3 more chapters. So I have 4 chapters right now. And then when Tina developed this regional advisory board that you Sara, that you're implementing in your region as well, that kind of took me to focus again, like we are focusing in on certain things. And because technology is so ingrained in me, like Tina was like, you got to deal with this. Um, in September, we in addition, we also handle the social for our region, my business, and we posted over 1,000 posts for Tina in 1 month. And that was because we had mixers, and she has 35 chapters, pages, and her regional pages across multiple platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Google, Twitter, LinkedIn, blah, 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 right? Tons of data. She could not manage this on her own. We create content, we publish it, and then we do things like inspire people to share on their socials. Like you've got Paula's great at this. You always see her sharing things about what's going on in her business and how she can help somebody or answering somebody's question. Like really dive in. You know, Tammy Ann and Lori, I don't know if you do that as well. I haven't, because I guess Paula and I are connected on Facebook, so I see a lot of her stuff. So if you do that, amazing. And I applaud you for it, because it is something where, you know, continually getting your name out there is a great way to drive business forward. So, you know, that's kind of, you know, did anybody have any questions? I kind of like rapid fired. We're from New York, so we talk real fast. Did
we may be from the Midwest, but we can keep up, Maggie.
Okay, good. I didn't mean to, there was no insult intended, but
No.
sometimes I talk, my husband's like, I can't keep up with you. And he's from New York. He's like, I can't keep up with you. I don't know what you're saying. So.
No offense taken. No worries. I just had a question about that many face-to-faces. How do you manage your calendar? Do you have a set time every week? Are they blocked? Are they 30 minutes, 15 minutes? How do you do that, Maggie?
So they do, I'm going to stop sharing for a sec. They do change. I do 30 minutes for the most part, unless it's a combination work session. If it's a work session face to face, then, you know, I book an hour. But,
Okay.
and I do keep Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday afternoons as like between, like say 2:30 and 5 as my face to face time. Because I found that doing that and you know, booking them back to back, right, stacking them,
Okay.
and because I'm in that mode. And then I always keep, because we're virtual here, right, and things do happen. I always keep a list of 30-minute tasks. So say somebody doesn't show up, or they show up late, or something happened and they canceled the last minute. I have a 30-minute task to fill that time. So that time is always productive. I'm never waiting. But I do have to say, I use a system, a CRM system, that I record all of my face-to-faces, and I keep notes in a different system where I also have, every time I have a face-to-face, I am diligently typing information, because I know that somebody somewhere down the line is going to ask me for something, and I have so many face-to-faces to keep track of it all. It's crazy. But because I keep it electronically, again, I'm a computer geek, so that there's all that, but I can search for it. So if somebody says a good contact for them is somebody who's a nurse, I can go into my database and just search the word nurse, and it'll pop up with the person who I met with, which is a time saver and also a great way to build my referrals out, right? Just send them that way.
You know, that's such a great tip, Maggie, because I haven't been doing that with my face-to-faces. I scribble in a notebook still. I love technology, but I love to scribble in my notebook. We're getting a new CRM for Master Network, so all the regionals will use it, and I believe it will be available for members if you're looking for something. But I'm going to start doing that. That's such a great tip that I can, because you're right, it'll happen sometimes where I'm like, oh, I knew I need to connect you with someone, and sometimes that name just doesn't come to you. So awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
Wanted to say, Maggie, I love how you said how the importance of taking notes, but even just tracking your contacts and who they are in your phone. Because I have to say major oofta, because I just got a new phone, and it's a full-time job right now, getting rid of the old one and making sure everything's up to date on the new one, because you have to redo every username and password on every app. And it's interesting. But I'm going through getting rid of the doubles, and I'd say half the contacts, I don't even know who they are or why they're in my phone.
Right.
Like sometimes I'll say who they are, But like, even if it's a friend, or you have to say where you met them, or because, and then it's easy to just forward the contact. So you immediately have to put your Master Networks tribe and their email, their phone, you know, like everything, their birthday in
Yeah.
your phone right away. I'm
And
really good with
tag.
that.
Yeah, that's great. I need to do that in my phone. I hate using my phone. I have to tell you, I'm more on my keyboard, but I like your idea, and like tagging the group, like creating the group is a great idea. I like that.
Even the business name, you know, you can put their business name, or you can put several things or notes, but their address, because I like to send, like I just sent some brownies to someone. So there's some just great sites out there. So I'm like, well, I need to find their address. Got to put it in my phone.
Yeah.
So thanks. You have
And-
great suggestions and great enthusiasm and energy and
Oh, thank
amazing
you.
success. So that was, I took pictures. I'm gonna share it with at my meeting tomorrow. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Anytime. Look, I'm always there to help. That's part of my nature, which I think was the problem with one of my other businesses, was because I was always helping people and giving stuff away for free.
Mhm.
That was a big challenge for me. And now I still give away something for free, but there's a goal, right? Like my YouTube channel, I have a product I can sell on that, right? There's it's being smart and strategic in how I present my, my business when I do my face to faces. It's really been uh, amazing because of what we have with Master Networks too. I mean, it's learning. Mastery has helped me tremendously. So it's been a lot of those things, but I'm always learning something new. I was talking about that thing with LinkedIn, that you could turn it into a video, and I was like, oh, and somebody's like, that's been around for 6 months. I'm like, I didn't know. And I'm supposed to be the goddess of technology, and it didn't work. But
And
I think that's the thing. You have to be kind of like accepting.
we have someone who is helping. I have a slide that is for social media, and one person specifically talks about LinkedIn tips. And
Oh,
it's
that's
been
great.
really fun. And she started a group, and I mean, just recently we just did this. But I loved your slide about you changed your entire business in 2020 to meet the needs of Master Networks, because there was a
Yes.
need, and you
It was a
look
need.
at
And it
like
fit- it
major
it
pivot.
it just
Amazing.
was total. Yeah. And I felt very happy that I could do that. Like it was fulfilling, it was rewarding, it was I told, like, changed this stress into success, because when I start with a new client consult, the new clients are usually like, and I don't post, and I don't do it's stress, right? "Ugh," they're freaking out. And I'm like, okay, first thing, we're going to take a deep breath. And then I talk really calmly, and I just work it through. And then by the end of it, they're like, oh, okay, yeah. So I just give you 30 minutes of my time once a month, and you create all my content. I'm like, uh-huh. And they're like, good, here. That's the
Well,
end
here,
of it.
Maggie, this is why all of us need you. This is what I did last week. This is just months. And then this is all my social media and my databases.
Oh gosh.
And I'm like so random, and it's awful. And I'm like, I have too many sites and too many pages, and it's so sporadic. Great
Mm.
ideas, but I'm not always doing it. So this is why we need you.
I'm
I
here.
think you two better schedule a face-to-face.
Yes,
Yes,
we do.
thank you.
We need to, Tammy.
Yes. And I love too, when you said the investment in my time in Master Networks is an investment in my business, because I think there's a lot of people that don't quite have that mindset down, and understanding that whether it's calling people or emailing them to visit, it's doing a face-to-face, it's being at the meeting, it's being the social media person, all of that time is an investment in your business as well, because you're seen as a leader and a contributor, and people look at you in a very positive way. I'm going to steal that. I will give you credit, but I'm
Go
going
right
to use
ahead.
that.
I'm happy. You can also use the listen, learn, and leverage. I don't know if I stole that from somebody, but that was something I was like, I love alliteration. If you can't tell my business name, but when I was doing, I'm like, okay, what did I do? Like, you gave me some very thought-provoking opportunities with doing this presentation. I said, what do I do? what do I really do that
Mhm.
gives me ROI, that gets me referrals? And that's what it was. It was really that, and, you know, I get referrals from people that I've only met once, right? And I think it's because of that. I'm always popping up. They may see me at their meeting, but they see me at another meeting. And that's why, like, yeah, every once in a while I'll be hopping over to Colorado, and I'll go to Alaska, and I'll go to Florida, wherever there was a meeting. I wish I could have done more, but I'm in our regional. I usually attend 2 to 3 meetings a day in our region. So, and it's a lot of time. It's a
Yeah.
lot of time, but I'm having a blast. I'm, you know, meeting great people. And I don't care if it's a big chapter or a small chapter. If it fits into my schedule, I'm going.
I love it. And you say yes. That's the other thing. Proximity and saying yes. That I don't know what it means to be secretary, but sure, let me give that a try. You know, the saying yes and being willing to be vulnerable, learn and jump in. And I've learned that from Chaz, and I see that in successful people. They say yes.
Yeah.
They say yes.
And the proximity is another thing. You know, I
Mhm.
was on your I wish I could have gone in person to the event that you had. Was it last month, right? It was the 28th. And I had asked a question, and Chaz was like, "That's got to be Maggie Carey from New York." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's got to be me."
I know.
Right? Like, that's the CEO of Master Networks knows me enough that he knew what kind of question I was asking, and he knew my first name and knew it had to be me, right? Like, this is a kind of thing where, you know, that's a thing I made an impression, and it was a positive one, and it was, you know, one that he remembers my name, right? Like, this is where things help your business grow. Like, just because he said that, and he said my last name, and all those people in that room now know Chaz knows Maggie Carey. That's great, right? It's proximity, right? I've been with Mastery. Like, Paula has been there. Paula, you've been there over a year now?
Oh, you're
You're
muted
unmuted.
here. You're muted.
Yes,
Yes.
about a year and a half.
About a year and a half. So, and Paula ended up being on, I have a master at Monday. I go live at 2 Eastern. That's 1 year time, right?
Yes.
I'm so bad with the time change. And so Paula ended up being on my, you know, on my show because we met. She did a great soundbite. Loved her soundbite. And I'm like, you've got to teach this. It's like, this is what we should be doing on our social, is what you're doing. Like, you know, having a hook and building that intrigue and that interest. But yeah, I really went over 10 minutes, didn't I?
Oh,
I know we were
you're
supposed to do a breakout,
Well,
but
and
Yeah,
when you
that's
have a face
okay.
to face with Maggie, be careful, because she and I had a half-hour face to face schedule, and it lasted an hour and a half.
yeah.
Just saying. Just
I
saying.
do too. I love it. I love it. Well, you know, with a smaller group, Maggie, I think it's been more fun to just debrief and process together. But I
So
would like every person, before we wrap up, everybody share one thing that you're going to take action on. What's one thing you heard or maybe didn't hear, but it led you to, and as Chaz said, led you to another thought of, I need to do this. What's one thing you want to do differently in your business or with your chapter?
Well, I'm going to modify my phone thanks to Tammy.
Yeah.
Gotta go in there.
It is a good point.
Yeah.
I have a couple.
Good.
I really liked to immediately put your contacts in your phone. That was fabulous. I like the idea of the CRM notes. I'm excited to explore Maggie's YouTube channel. LinkedIn, I got to be convinced. LinkedIn kind of scares me and bothers me, and I've never really gotten anywhere there. So I think I need more instruction on that area, but this has been wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, Lori. I cover a bunch on my YouTube. So there's LinkedIn, there's Instagram, there's Facebook. So, and I try to micro topic. So it's not like this. My later ones are micro topic. The first ones I was trying to give everything away at once, and it was overwhelmed. But the later ones are very, you know, you can take action on it.
Well, and you got me thinking about, you know, where are my talents? Not just focus on the business, but where are my talents? And I am kind of like you and Paula and everybody as far as, I like to be out there. I like to help people. And I'm thinking maybe that I can look at my inner talents a little bit more than I have been and figure out how to use that in the business, not just what I've learned over my experience of the business.
Love that.
Right.
That's awesome, Lori.
I really like how you talked about it's not the selling, it's the providing value, because that's one of the things that we come back to time and time again when we're talking about master networks and how it's about relationships. And my business is about relationships. We don't advertise, it's word of mouth. It's somebody referring somebody else to Paula, the cabbie stylist, or whatever. So taking that soundbite and remembering that you're not just selling your business, you're building a relationship, and how can you be of service to the people in that room?
Well, like you noticed, I started my presentation with who I am, right? And that was definitely a Master Networks thing, right? Like you needed to get to know who I am and relate a little bit to, maybe it was the cats, maybe it was my 6'4", computer geek son, maybe it was my grandma, but somewhere in there was something that you could relate to. And if all else failed, I had my Master Networks family where we all have a basis of connection with that. So.
Right.
I'm going to, if it's okay with you, Sarah, I'm going to put my information in the chat and some shameless self-promotion as well.
Of course.
But it does have my my LinkedIn account.
Okay.
If you're not on LinkedIn, it also has my YouTube channel. So that'll help. And my email, you just reach out. Let's have a face-to-face. And so I can, because this was kind of one-sided, I want to get to know you better as well. And Paula, we're way overdue.
Yes, we are. I got to get on your list of 30.
Yeah, there you go. I was surprised, to be honest with you. I knew I had a lot of face-to-faces, but I had no idea how many I had until we started doing. I was like, wow, that really is a lot. And somebody's like, well, the people you meet every week, do they really count? I'm like, I met them through Master Networks, and we're talking about Master Networks, and we talk about our business. Yeah, they sure do.
Yes. Absolutely. And the CRM thing, since we're getting a new one and I'll have a fresh start, that was definitely something too, to put that in my note, to make better notes in my CRM. So, because as a region grows right now, I have such a good handle on who does what, and I'm pretty good at it, but at some point we're going to be too big and I won't remember everybody and all those details. So the CRM will be a perfect way for me to do that.
And look, we were at 200 and I'm going to say 250 when COVID started too. And I remember we were trying to get to 250. We were trying to get to 250. We'd get to like 240 and then we'd drop down, and we'd get to 235, we'd just go up and down. And then all of a sudden we went crazy. We're over 500 now.
Yeah.
And this is a year and a half. Like, so Tina, I remembered the first, she goes, we had a member join and I don't know who they are. It was like, she was shocked, right? But that's what's going to happen for you, Sarah. It's the same thing. It's going to be this, because when we grow in New York, you're growing in Colorado, they're growing Alaska. Come on, they're trying to build California now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Texas exploded, California and Florida's doing really well. We've got Pennsylvania, we're all over. We're like these little pockets, but the more people know, the more, like, we're even looking in the Buffalo area now. We're looking to grow. So it really, and Jersey's growing. So look, we're just because it's going to become that name that people recognize no matter where you are.
Yes. And internationally, we've been getting even more inquiries. And I know New York has some international members.
Yeah.
So it's not available in their country. They're joining in New York and joining their Zooms. So
we've got some Canadians, eh? And then we've got somebody from across the pond in Scotland.
Wow. What's that time change?
I have no idea.
Golly.
Yeah, Canada's not so bad, but yeah, from overseas, that could be interesting. So And I feel it here, you know, the fall always picks up for us and people are really focused on their business, and the amount of RSVPs on Eventbrite I'm getting, because I have all the chapter meetings out there, it's crazy. And just reaching out to people and people reaching out to me like, hey, I'm looking for a home. Where can I go? Where can I be? So
Yeah.
it's
And
an
you have a
exciting
virtual
time.
chapter, which, right, you have a one or two, how many virtual chapters do you have?
We have a mix of things. So we have some chapters are all virtual, and some are doing where they're meeting in person, like 1 week of the month, but otherwise doing Zoom. Tammy's
Doing
chapter does Zoom and in person every week. So if you
Oh.
can't make it in person, jump on the Zoom, and they've got a good setup for hybrid. So we're kind of, you know, working that out. And I have a new chapter that's starting, and they, as soon as they launch, they want to go all in person. So
Great.
really keeping it flexible. And
Anne's
allowing
chapter is all virtual.
the what?
And
Anne's chapter is all
Oh yeah,
virtual.
Rosemont.
Yeah, we're all virtual, and they don't really want to go back in person. We are meeting once a quarter for lunch at the same time and doing our meeting that way.
that's nice.
But we're virtual.
But I
But the
think
energy-
that's your like fallback until they find a place, they can always attend a virtual chapter.
Mhm.
And, you know, that's, you know, with New York, that was the thing. It's like some people want to be in the near the location of where they work or that
Yeah.
live. And others are like, I don't care. Just give me, you know, it's the personality, because each chapter has its own personality and flair, and
Yeah.
it's really interesting.
I could just give the huge testimonial that, because my group during COVID and everything, once people started coming back in person, they just wanted to do once a month in person. Then once we combined with the other group, and then we had the technology people, so I didn't have to do everything. Now we have it running so smoothly, and we're having 14, 15 people show up every week, and 10 of them are in person and 4 are online. But you're going to have 100% show, you know, 99% show up either online or in person. But giving that option has just given us so much energy and excitement. And
That's great.
it's been amazing, and it's really fun when you can feel that energy in person.
Tammy, you're going to have to send me if you don't have a social media. Well, even if you have a social media person, I can come in as a Master Networks person from New York. I don't care, but I'd love to visit your chapter if it's got a virtual component, and I can visit Anne's chapter.
Yeah, I just add a slide that says social media, and then I have 2 people take turns, and now I just have a third person, and any tip that they want to give. It's just any social media, and it's just been unbelievable.
That's great. It's
Yeah.
great. Well, see that you're also, to me, that's a great thing to have in your chapter, because what you're doing is you're giving that extra value to attend your meeting, right? Like, so people know if I go to that meeting, I'm going to come away with a really great tip, you know, on top of the training tidbits, on top of the face-to-faces, right? It's just another value add,
But
right?
it's a free plug because we have a virtual assistant, and then we have a social media, you know, advertiser, you know, that's their business. So I said, it's a
great.
free plug for you every single week.
Yep.
So, and let's just make it more relevant. That was my reasoning for adding that. Otherwise, we're pretty spot on by following the PowerPoint. Although I rearranged it a little bit.
We
Well, you
won't
have to tell me about that. Hey, we're looking at updating and improving the PowerPoints. So Tammy, let me know what, you know,
The
what your
biggest
thoughts
change
were.
is just, I like to, before we do any announcements and everything, I like to hear from everybody and introduce people first. Then we do our business numbers, then we do our announcements. I know we used to do that before, but like if you're bragging about your business numbers, I want people to know who they are. Like you just met who they were, you heard their name and their business. So I do the video first of like the mission, but then I do the I introduce the leadership, then I have everyone do we introduce the guests, and then we do the regular members, then we get into the other nitty gritty. And I know we used to do that before, but I like to know who's at the meeting first, especially if I was a guest.
So move sound bites earlier. Okay, well, good
Yeah.
tip. And we're going to refresh and update some things in the PowerPoints in the coming months, probably to launch in January. So that's awesome. I love
But
that.
what works for us might not work for another group. So it's easy to tweak. And I
Yeah.
love the PowerPoints. Oh my gosh. Doesn't take long to prepare, and the meetings are just professional and they flow, and it's
And look,
yeah, it's
consistent
awesome.
branding across, right? Like it's
Yeah.
consistent. You come to New York, you go to It
Yes.
doesn't matter. Wherever you go, you have that consistent feel, which is important if you're building, building the Master Network brand, right?
Absolutely. I love it.
Yeah, well, great. It was so much fun to spend time together. And for those of you that are listening to the recording, thank you for taking time to do that. Let me know, like drop me an email, let me know what you learned, or find Maggie on the hub or anybody else on here, connect with them, let them know what you learned and what you heard today, and make sure you take some action. Write down 1 or 2 things that you're going to change and do differently. So thank you so much to everybody for being here. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. Take care. And again, for those of you listening, if you need anything, be in touch with me.